Hi, this is Justin from AC Hamilton Preston. So turned up to work this morning and these random guys from Yamaha appeared in the store, so it's always a nice surprise to see them, and they brought with them some products that we've never seen before. I don't even know what they're called. So this is the Yamaha CK88 and the Yamaha CK61. That's only because it's actually written on the keyboard, not because I know what I'm talking about. So we've got Luke Juby here, who's an amazing guy who works on behalf of Yamaha. He's going to hopefully teach us a little about these new products. Hi Luke, so tell us about them.
Okay, as you said, so you've got the CK Series, so there's the, it's like a stage piano. It's got a bit of everything. It's really flexible. And I think the way to describe it is, it's like the younger brother or sister of the CP Series or the YC Series. The operating system is very similar, if not identical in many parts. So it's one to go from easily up to the next series if you want to, or you can look at it almost being a really big brother of the reef face. You know the little reef faces?
The little tiny things. With
they're great.
Wee little speakers.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they've got the CP on that one, and they've got the YC on those things. Yeah. So it sits in the middle there. All the great EPs, all the great pianos that you expect. But there's a whole load of new things that haven't been seen before. So it can be battery powered. Right. So you can take it into the middle anywhere. It's got its own speakers. It's got Bluetooth input, as I was mucking around with earlier. Yeah. You can also run backing tracks really easily from like a USB stick or something like that.
Sure.
So
it doesn't weigh a ton.
It weighs 13.1 kilos and 5.6.
Wow.
So like next to nothing.
That's cool. Yeah.
For an 88 note with speakers. Yeah.
Awesome. Right, let's hear what they sound like.
Cool. Okay. So just before you start playing, what I might do is just do a quick rundown. Obviously, you've got the 88 note and the 61 note above. Okay. So you've got your mod and your pitch bend at the end.
Yeah.
Master volumes and stuff. This is a great way just to jump straight to the rotary speaker and the speeds and stuff.
Sure.
Then you've got your organ section, which is like, you'll have seen on a lot of your rotary.
I remember having an organ in the 80s. I had knobs like this. It's quite brings back memories.
Good memories, I hope. So the tone wheel, sort of like always, you've got your choruses and your vibratos and stuff, and your percussions. Some transpose buttons. Oh, I've actually transposed it. So then moving on, 3 sections, much like the CP, all live on their own. You can layer them up, turn them on, turn them off. The top ones is turning them on and off. Yeah. This is just saying which ones we've got selected to then if you want to muck around with. And then once you've chosen one, you've then got the categories here. So let's go piano, and then we can start flicking through the lots of different pianos. And this has got all the classic, like the U1 uprights that I love, and CFX Grands, S700 I think from the S90, some CP80s and stuff. Moving on, electric piano, you've got the RDs, the tines and the reeds.
So these are all samples we recognise from the CP and the YC, yeah?
Yeah. And then, again, then moving on, we've got, I think, 4 or 5 different types of organ. And these are different to the YC, which is VCM, so virtual circuitry
modelling.
Thank you. These are the organ flutes that you might have in some of your PSRs and things. So they're AWM too, but they still have the drawbars sort of stuff going on. And then as you flip through, we get some of the church organ things that, some of these are beautiful actually. I don't go to church enough because really fluty,
lovely. Sort of chapel organ sound.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We had some distortion.
A little bit of distortion there. So then then you can move on. Some good. The harmonics and stuff. So we go through strings, some beautiful strings.
Yeah.
Loads of pads actually. I think there's 65 different pads.
Awesome.
You've got all these options for each of these, so let's move on again. As you're coming through, we've got, for each of the 3 sections, our different categories here that we move, so we've got the filter, so each one of these we can, and we can obviously put that on the foot pedal. you can get a foot pedal to control anything, any of these knobs, any of these faders. And you've got the cut-off and the resonance, and then you've got the envelope, so we can change the attack. Or, you could do that on the fly as well with a foot pedal. And then we've got like a cabinet, sort of either the rotary speakers or distortions and stuff. And then each of them have got 2 insert effects after that point as well, where you can choose your choruses, your flanges, your other distortions, or dedicated reverbs. And so what's great is you see we're on yellow at the moment, which is A. If I switch to B, it shows now that we're on B. You can actually choose any colour you want as well for these.
So the effects that you're messing around with are going to apply
just
to
purely for
this
B.
part.
Yeah. And then so we could go on one. We could like get a chorus, and then we could go to effect 2, and we could have a wah. And I'm doing it on the worst sound possible for that. But and what's quite neat is you can easily sort of swap these around as well, so they go in a different direction. Same thing as over here. If I wanted to just swap my organ and my pad that I've got there, if I just hold it like that, you can swap them around. So it's quite little neat things like that. And because I've pressed both of them at the same time, you can now see that my effects have also gone white over here. And that's because I've now got 2 lit up, which means I can work on 2 at the same time. Or I can work on...
so you can apply the effects individually?
Yeah, or globally, over across the whole thing.
Yeah.
So now all 3 would be going, if I wanted to change the cutoff to all 3. It's a really cool...
it feels like my simple brain is going to cope with this quite well, actually.
Well, that's where the CP and stuff is great. But because it's Yamaha, they also give you a lot of stuff behind it. So it's still a zonal keyboard. So it's a master keyboard. We can have 4 different zones. We can go after all these different things. It's also got the same thing as the YC, where because we've got the 3 sections, we can easily plug in another keyboard just with a MIDI and just say, do you know what, my A is always going to be piano, and I want to send it to an external keyboard only. So it would never be on this keyboard or on this keyboard, say. So say you have the little 61, you can have the 88 note underneath it, and that's always going to be your piano dedicated. Or the opposite, we could have this one, and C could be our organs, and that's always going to the top one. It's just a real working man's
Do you know what
or
I actually
woman's.
prefer to CP and YC is that these 3 sections are all together and the volumes are all together.
Yeah.
Whereas on YC CP you've got to turn it on there, turn it on there, turn it on there, volume there, volume there, volume. That's just all nicely together. You can see exactly what you've got on at any one time.
And so there are, because it's a newer product, there are actually sort of other new things that were really great about this. So, for example, there's inbuilt speakers. So this one on top, so this is just working through the internal speakers. If the camera picked that up.
So where are they? Where are the speakers?
Well, as I say, it's so light. We mentioned earlier that 5.1 and 13.6 kilos, I think, and that's with speakers and everything in it.
So if you're practicing at home, you don't want to bother getting the wires out, getting an amp out. It's just handy, isn't it?
But it can also work on AA batteries as well.
Right.
So you could take it to the middle of the field and play to the cows if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things. It can also take Bluetooth, which is cool. So if you had a backing track on your phone, or in the studio, if you just want to play something quickly to someone and you don't want to get out any wires. Well, most phones don't even have headphone outs these days, do they?
No.
So, and then another cool thing is you can put in backing tracks really easy. So if we go here, I think I put some in so on the top note or the bottom note, I'm not sure if you can see the top note in the camera. Here you can, just about. So if I press this now, it'll kick in into a sample that I've already put in. And that's my beautiful girly vocals.
Right.
And then, so you can do stuff like that. You can have it on different modes. So you can have it so that it's like. So. or you can have it on stop-start. So it's quite a neat.
So these are saved with these live set buttons.
That's the thing, yeah. So I've just got my USB stick in the back, and you can save it onto. So if you are doing a gig and you're doing a pub gig, say, and you've got all your set, song 1, Angels by Robbie Williams, hit top C, and your backing track starts. You go through the whole thing, and then when you switch to number 2, the next saved recording is just automatically preset into that. Preset, that's the name, and you could just keep working through like that. So really clever. They've actually thought about how people
and then
use
within that preset, would the other parts?
Yep.
So as, let's say you put a pad sound in there,
Yep.
you put like a string sound in there. It'd save those as well, even though you originally just on the piano. You can just bring in the strings.
Exactly.
And bring in the pads.
Yeah. So what you could do is put all the drawbells back so that it comes in nice and smooth. As I said before, if you've got like a swell pedal, you could on each of these patches as well.
Yeah.
You could say on song 1, I want to control the cut off of my pad, or on song 2, I want to control the volume of the organ. So you could set up that one. So you
can swell in. It's a bit like on the montage of the wheel, where you can
choose what it wants. Anything that you can move, it can pretty much be put on the foot.
Yeah.
And also, what's really nice as well is, even if you're doing the whole foot, so 0 to 127, that's not very musical to turn everything off and turn it full whack. You might want your strings to just go
from
50 to 100.
Yeah.
So you can do that. So this is 50 now, and that's 100.
So
you've got so much movement that you can do and bring it in without having to worry about everything cutting off.
Yeah.
And like for drive, you might want the drive on, but you might want to go from here to there. And so you could just have it on the pedal like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then going on your overall effects, so we've got a delay and we've got a reverb. And again, with the equalizer, you can have it as an overall equalizer. So say you go into a room and it's really boomy down the bottom, you could drop the bass off. But you can also save these per patch as well. So if you did have a bass player playing with you on one song, you could notch down the bass slightly if you wanted to, and save that within the preset.
It's great, yeah. I mean, I just love the simplicity of it.
And as you were saying earlier, the bite on those electric pianos is great. It's that CP quality for me. Do you want to go through some of the sounds?
Yeah, the dynamics of it. Quite surprising how much bite you've got there, isn't there?
Another beautiful thing, so on the YC, because of the FM stuff, they had unison in there, which is, I know it sounds like it's just one note, but so you've got the mono option, and you can go mono with all the portamento for the leads and stuff. But unison, so using its polyphony, you can say, okay, I know I'm just playing C, but if I turn on that, then what happens is more than one sample is playing C, but it's been detuned slightly or something. So you can always hear that, like chorus effect. So if we went to the U1 piano and play something, so just play something.
Yeah.
And if I turn it on, we're going to get a bit honky tonk.
Detune effect.
Yeah. This works great on things like, let's go find a nice DX sound. So it's a nice sound, but now listen to it, play the same thing again. Play the same thing again. It's just a little bit of magic, a bit of width, a bit of, and I could turn on now as well. Let's whack on the chorus. and you really hear when it goes.
So how is that different from just adding effects to that sound? So what is this unison? Just explain that again.
So when you're mucking around with FM stuff, you get it's a way of sort of. I mean, I'm going to let be keyboard geeks sort of like tell me I'm saying this absolutely wrong, but it's just imagine that there's this. If I play this, it's one sample. And if I press this, it's actually like almost there's two DX7s playing or four DX7s playing the same note.
Right.
But each one's been moved slightly, and we can actually go in as well and get in on the sound probably. So there's unison there. I can go in the type. So that was multi-layer or harmonics. Basically, what's being boosted subharmonics. So I've gone for multi-layer, and you can like detune it more and more. So. Just adding.
So in layman's terms, it's just another way of beefing up the sound, or have a bit of sparkle to it, a bit extra.
Yeah. A good way to think about it is if you had someone singing and you hear the single voice, if you had someone who sang exactly the same, they had the two twins and their tonal quality was exactly the same, and they sang, it would just sound exactly the same, maybe slightly louder. The reason why choirs sound beautiful is because everyone's got a different tonal quality to their voice, and they're also not maybe the best singers, so they're actually slightly off from each other, and you get that incredible width in that, which is why some of the old organs and the old electric pianos sound so amazing, because they're not, and especially like the old synths and stuff, where they're actually out of tune with themselves. But that's part of the warmth. That's when people talk about the analog warmth. So if you think about a note, and are the same note, but completely different. This is how the organ works. So there's our fundamental. All the harmonics. So that's our note. But we can add all these. And it's still that same note. But all of a sudden we've got
all the flavours of all the other pitches,
all the harmonics that actually make up that note being emphasised. And
you know, it's just something, again, it's just something easy to press, and it's going to do something to the sound for a live player. It's just button to press is great.
Yeah, but the great thing about this, as we said earlier, it's the baby brother or sister. You know, it's like, and yet it sounds so great. This is the keyboard. I would have killed for this keyboard as a kid. Just really, when I was a kid, and probably the same with you, where pianos just didn't sound like pianos. They sounded like, which is why all the things like the DXs got created, because they sounded great, and you didn't have to try and make a real piano. It sounded great on its own. But now, you know, that something like this, with all the sounds you want to have in a band, the portability. Oh, you get some nice cases as well. So the little one has like a rucksack, so you can put it on your back. You could ride your bike. People would think you probably play the violin.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the tatty clothes and the.
And we've got to remember these are sort of underneath the prices of like a CP or a YC, so they're a lot more affordable.
But the and the YC for me is, although it's at the top end, it's still affordable when you look at other options that do the same or less. I mean, I can't believe that I went to the other day. One of these things is like $4,000.
I know. Was it red?
It was red, I think. Yeah. Either red or blue, maybe red. Yeah. And I like looking. I mean, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot for your money. So it'll be interesting to see what prices these actually.
The benefit of having a company that's been around for 100 and something years, I should know that. Is that the fact that you can just go in here, so let's go in here and you can go to function, I think it might be in, and there's our master keyboard section, and if I turn it on, then we're in here, and we've got 4 zones, and they've probably just taken this programming from something that's been around for ages, but to them it's free. But to the keyboard player, this is now the master keyboard of all master keyboards, where you can have that one note going off to MIDI channel 3 on your outboard gear that's kicking off something on stage, or you can have just this one section going off and playing detuned. You can drop the octaves, you can choose MIDI channels, and that's all in like the middle,
relatively budget
yeah
product. Yeah, there's a lot of functionality behind the simplicity of this product.
Yeah, AD input as well. So that's a good thing to point out, actually. So if you wanted to chuck your mic in, you can chuck your mic in. But not only that, but you can also put effects on it, like a noise gate, or you could put it through the reverbs, and you can change. You can check the volumes. So we've got 2 input effects, an input EQ, and a noise gate that you can muck around with. So the first video I did with this, I only had it the evening before, so I'm probably still finding. So I didn't know what I'd find behind there, but yeah, great.
And it has got a pretty full palette of sounds, isn't it?
Yeah.
100 or so.
Oh no, hundreds, like 300 and something probably. But sometimes looking at I've got an old Wurlitzer at home. It's got one sound, and I love it. So the number of sounds isn't important; it's how great a sound is.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I always think that it's not one sound; it's one starting point.
Yeah.
And you start off with that DX sound that we had, and if you've added flanges and phasers and whatever it might be, no one's going to say, "Oh, it's the same sound as before."
No.
Or you've got a clav and you've got a wicked touch wah going on. In fact, the clav's pretty cool. Yeah, have a little one. Yeah. So the CK series. I think with all these things, come down to the shop, have a little play, find the sounds that you want to have a go with. What's important to you, and give it a shot. Great
price and lightweight. How heavy did you say this was?
13.1.
13.1.
That's without a ton of AA batteries in it, which will add a little bit, I guess. But if you wanted to do that, obviously we've got it plugged in. It plugs in as well. It's not just.
And this was
5.5, 5.6. Wow. It's mental.
So, yeah. Like you say, put that in a bag.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's good. Great as a second, obviously in a 2-tier system as well. It's great to have a little second keyboard there. Piano on the bottom. Really good option.
You going to play us out?
On the marimba.
No.